What's on your mind? Facebook will always ask you. We live in an age and time where everyone has something to say about something, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, right? It shows that we are more expressive as a people, and it has its place. However, is there a way we share information about ourselves, about our lives, about our experiences, that it get on to becoming TMI, too much information? Today, I want to show you a powerful navigation system I call the GPS that can help you discern and to know the kind of information you should be sharing at different settings. If this is what you would like to learn, then this video is for you. All right, let's do it. G is for general. General information is the kind of information you can share with an absolute stranger, with friends, with family. Everyone gets to enjoy that kind of information. So it's from the tips you share about your knowledge in a particular area of expertise, or maybe you're an expert in maybe health or wellness, or digital content creation or tech, or whatever space you are graced to do or share information. You can share tips, hacks, and everything in between that Sometimes you want to share experiences about yourself, about family, but at the surface level, you're not sharing anything really deep. When it comes to generic information, right, you can meet a stranger and share that information with them. So the general information doesn't necessarily threaten you or the person who hears that information, because with information sharing, there is the message, there is the sender, and there's the receiver. So the receiver of the message can be anyone, absolutely anyone, random stranger, someone you've never met, someone you will never meet, someone you've met, someone an acquaintance, a friend, a family. Anyone can partake of a generic information. As we begin to streamline, then we have what we call the P. Okay, so P is for private information, and with the private information there is a kind of restriction to the number of people or the group or the category of receivers of this information. A private information is something like your debit or credit card PIN. I mean, you don't go to your social media page and say, oh, this is my PIN number. No, it's something you protect. Information like your medical history, information like your dating history. Yes, I know you are woke, but the number of people you dated, it's not something you're supposed to be sharing with the world. It's private to you. I know people have they have the prerogative to share what they feel comfortable with, right? But there are things that are just termed private information. For instance, your travel plan is supposed to be a private information. You're not supposed to be sharing your real-time location. But I remember being in a cybersecurity course as an undergraduate, and my lecturer was sharing an experience of a man who his entire family were they were hacked down because they shared their real-time location. So you're not supposed to be sharing your real-time location with total strangers or on the internet for security purposes, right? So private information is that kind of information you give access to um, tried and trusted individuals like your immediate family, not just everyone, but people who are loyal to you, who you trust, and then of course people who are looking out for you. Like you're about to go on a trip and you guys just left maybe the airport or the garage. You call them, or you call your mom, your dad, your siblings, your very close friend, or your spouse, and you're like, we just left point A, or we are at point C, or we just landed, or we just got to our final destination. these are private information. It's not for everyone, right? So you can't be dating, for instance, you just met someone and you're dating for only 1 week and they already know your medical history. The only medical history you are permitted to share with someone you just recently met while dating is maybe your genotype. Yes, you should share that, because I mean, you don't want to get so invested into a relationship and later find out that you guys are not medically compatible together. So that's the only maybe exception to maybe sharing private information, because your genotype is, it's a private information. Not the whole world needs to know what your genotype is. Well, you just met someone. Excuse me, sis. Why sharing your sexual history with someone you barely know? 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and now you're complaining that he left you. How many people can handle such private information? That's why you need to let people grow into becoming the people who can handle delicate information about you. So private information is a very delicate one. So it's not something you want to share with about everyone. In the midst of your friends, you can't share your private information with every one of them. You must have like the closer guys, the ones who are in your inner cycle. Like Jesus, he had the general information he will share with the multitude, the private information he will share it with the 12 disciples, and then of course it leads us to the final kind of information, which is the sacred information. The sacred information is that very special kind of information that little number of people have access to that kind of information, right? So something like your faith, you know, even though your faith is a sacred information, um, your divine encounter with Jesus, your the holy book, that's the Bible, the Word of God, a sacred prayer, a sacred, so your Christian practice is sacred, separate and special from every other kind of activities you do, but there's still a place for sharing to the general public, right? So for instance, the gospel is sacred, it is holy, it is special. So the gospel is a message of the death, the burial, and the resurrection of Jesus. Although it is a sacred message, however, it is still appropriate for the general public, because Jesus gave us a command which we call the Great Commission. He commissioned us as believers to go into all the world and preach the same gospel to the entire world. So yes, the gospel is sacred, or it is for the entire world. However, we have other sacred information that are not appropriate for the whole world. What you and your spouse share in your marriage is sacred, and it's not for the whole world. It's just for you and your spouse. Sometimes what you share with your immediate family or your extended family, sometimes like your family traditions or cultural rights, or just things you do and you have separated it, you you don't want to share with the whole world. It's just for you and those people that are involved. So you need to determine what your sacred is. For some people, their sacred could even be their wedding anniversaries. Yes. For some people, they don't want to share it with the world. It's just between them, the spouse, their spouse, and their kids. And you must learn to respect people. So it's like when people don't come out to tell you about who they are voting for during the election in a particular nation. It could be their private information and it's not for the whole world. So you don't force people to share information that they term private or sacred. So we must learn to respect people and how they view information about themselves, about their family, about their work, their experiences, and all of that. So to tie this all together, you will see that Jesus used this powerful GPS navigation tool for information sharing in his day and time. So you will see him share the general information to the multitude, because the multitude had the saved and the unsaved people, so it was always a mixed multitude. He had the people who were against him and he had the people who were for him, all merged in the crowd. So he knew the kind of information he shared with them, the gospel, parables. And then of course he had the private information he would share with just his 12 disciples. And then he also had the sacred information he would share with Peter, James, and John. So Jesus is our guiding model in all that we do in life, right? You want to also note that information can progress over time. This is what I mean. A private information in 2024 can become a generic information in 2026, depending on the stage of that information. For instance, someone who is working on a private project and they are not yet at a completion stage. When they get to complete that project, say you got admission to study abroad in a particular course for a 2-year program or 3-year program, PhD program, and you decide not to share it with the world. It's a private information, you probably share with a few friends, and it's now 3 years time down the line or 2 years down the line, and you now have your master's degree and you feel led to share it. It now moves from being a private information to being a generic information. Or you just got promotion, you don't want to share it immediately with the whole world, and all of that. So information can progress from being private to being generic as you deem fit. Also, something I want to say about information is the devil is not omniscient. The devil does not know everything about you. He is not an all-knowing devil, no. So it's the information we put out there that he gets about us. Many times we are the ones who inform the enemy. We're not saying be afraid, be timid. We're saying be as wise as serpent, like Jesus told his disciples, and by extension you and I. So you need to be careful and cautious on the kind of information you're sharing, with who you're sharing, and when you're sharing, so that you walk circumspectly as one who is wise. Okay, so I had to add that caveat. As much as you want to share your private information, even the private information, you want to be sure who you're sharing your private information with, and then of course your sacred information, and then the generic information. I hope this has been insightful. I hope you now know what to share, what not to share, how to share, when to share in this digital age where everyone is sharing. So let's tell me in the comments what is your light bulb moment, and you can give me examples of sacred information, private information, as well as general information. I think that I can learn from you a thing or two. All right, so I'll reply to all your messages. And if you watch until now and you haven't subscribed, why not? Why have you not subscribed? So go ahead and subscribe. Click the notification bell icon so that you can get notification every time I post a video. I remain your partner in wholeness, Oluchinwell. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.